The country has come to a dark place when someone as legendary as Dr. Ben Carson is canceled. A school board in Detroit has voted to remove the groundbreaking surgeon and former presidential candidate's name from an area high school named after him over his politics. The Benjamin Carson High School of Science and Medicine will soon brandish a new title because apparently the very gifted Dr. Carson's revolutionary skill in medicine does not hold enough importance over his conservative opinions. This is one of the most outrageous moves that we've seen by a school board yet. Dr. Carson is a brilliant doctor. He's one of the greatest neurosurgeons in history and a role model for all communities. He embodies the American dream. He performed the first successful neurosurgical procedure on a fetus inside the womb. He's funded over 250 reading rooms for underprivileged students. He's been awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He's saved hundreds, even thousands of lives. And yet, because he worked under President Trump and is a Republican, all of those achievements become null and void in the eyes of those with opposing views. Dr. Ben Carson is the personification of good, and yet Detroit chooses ideology over humanity and scrubs him from their high school. Dr. Ben Carson joins me now with his response to this shameful action. Dr. Carson, a pleasure to have you on the program tonight. Such an honor. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Jen. You know, I'm not particularly worried about me or my reputation, but I do worry tremendously about the children and about the messages that are being given to them. You know, school used to be about achievement and excellence, and now we're placing politics over that. And also trying to get people to have a uniform way of thinking. You know, the way you make progress is have people who think out of the box, who think for themselves, who can discuss things. And when you have totalitarianism, you have one way of thinking. And if you don't accept that way of thinking, you're the bad person. You need to be excluded. You need to be punished in some way. I hope that we're smart enough to see that. And, you know, I understand that they did a poll and the kids themselves, 59% of them did not want the name changed. But the woke adults said he's associated with Trump. One of the school members said having his name there is like having Trump's name in blackface. You know, such racist, ridiculous remarks, unfortunately. But to transmit that to our children, that is the real problem. And we need to recognize that we, the American people, are not each other's enemy. And everybody has different opinions. If two people feel the same about everything, one of them isn't necessary. You know, we need to encourage diversity of thought just as we encourage diversity of other things.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't send a message of inclusivity that a lot of schools are trying to preach these days. You know, you look at what's going on in the classrooms. We talk about it here on Prime News a lot. There's this woke agenda, this push towards CRT. You've got drag shows coming to schools that are out, you know, parents, of course, outraged by that, the push to have children question their gender. What's happening in our schools right now, Dr. Carson? What do you make of this?
Well, unfortunately, you know, 60 years ago, Nikita Khrushchev told Eisenhower that your grandchildren's children will live under communism and we won't have to fire one shot. There's been a long-term effort to indoctrinate our kids. And that's the very reason that at American Cornerstone, we've come up with the Little Patriots program to teach the children the real fundamentals of who we are as a nation. It was not a coincidence that we went from a ragtag bunch of militiamen to the pinnacle of the world in record time. And we need to concentrate on those kinds of things. So we have a learning program, K through 5, called Little Patriots, littlepatriotslearning.com. It's free of charge. And when people look at it, they say, I can't believe this is free. It's because we've gotten wonderful patriotic people to underwrite the program. Teach you the real history, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but an objective look will show you that there's a lot more good than there is bad and ugly.
You know, we are seeing right now in a number of schools academic performance declining. Do you think that's a result of you know, out-of-place priorities in the classrooms?
Oh, without question. And of course, it was exacerbated with the COVID situation. And particularly in areas where people are underprivileged and they don't have high-speed internet and some of the other things. It's a tragedy. And John Adams, our second president, said that our system is based on a well-informed an educated populace. Why did he say that? Because people who are not well educated and informed are very easy to manipulate. And you can't have that in the kind of system that we have.
Yeah, and just to give our audience some figures here, if you look at Detroit, I mean, the literacy rate in public schools is only 23%. Only 9% of students tested a proficient level for math. The district's testing ranking is some of the lowest in Michigan public schools.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, I remember when I was a student, and I was achieving at a high level, and people were saying, "You're trying to act white," and you're this and that and the other. But it was funny when I went back for my 25th class reunion, people were saying, "Oh, we're so proud of you. And don't you remember how we used to encourage you?" It was kind of funny. But the fact of the matter is, what is the purpose of school? It is to give people the tools that they need to achieve so they can realize the American dream. And if that's not done, it's a grave injustice. The school board in Detroit should be trying to figure out, what are we doing wrong? What can we be doing to give these children the opportunity to achieve in our society?
Well, Dr. Carson, we don't have a lot of time left, but before we do let you go, I know that you just teamed up with country music star John Rich and conservative commentator Larry Elder to purchase First State Bank of Elmore City, Oklahoma. You're renaming it Old Glory Bank in an effort to promote American values and oppose cancel culture in the financial system. I've only got about 30 seconds, but could you tell us a little bit about this and your plans for the bank?
Well, it's a digital-first bank, chartered, FDIC insured, and people will be able to carry their bank in their pocket and have access to it, even though the building itself is in Elmore City, Oklahoma. It is from coast to coast, and I encourage people to get involved quickly, because this is a bank that is pro-America.
Wow. Love to hear that. Dr. Ben Carson, thank you so much for being here tonight. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, Jen. You too.